Hey all, my name is Paul Borosky and I am the owner of Quality Business Plan. And what I'd like to do today is introduce you all to the financial model that I used as a foundation for writing my financial report for Nike, which is titled Nike Financial Report for 2020 by Paul Borosky, MBA, which is myself. And so, like I said, for the whole purpose of this video is to kind of give you all some insights as to where I got my information from and how I started the financial analysis process for Nike's financial reports. So please keep in mind a few things. First and foremost, in my financial report, when I did my analysis, there may be some contradictory information. For example, I might say Nike is doing a great job with the revenues. However, they might not be doing so good of a job with their cash management. And the reason that I might present some contradictory information is because I do my analysis for the company from the perspective of the line item in the financial statement or the financial ratio. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and sneak a peek at this little financial model that I've concocted. So when I start my financial analysis for Nike, first thing what I did was I went ahead and gathered the last 5 year last 5 years worth of annual statements or 10Ks for the organization from 2016 to 2020. I then went ahead and compiled all that information into my financial model. I summarized the revenues, cost of goods, depreciation, operating expenses, and such. Once I was done with that, I then went ahead and that information, once I entered that information into here, then that information automatically populated and I broke out each line item individually so I can just analyze that information without being distracted with all the other information that's going on. So for example, Nike's revenues for 2016 were $32.3 billion. In the next 5 years, actually in the next 4 years, the organization would continually increase their revenues periodically at about a growth rate of approximately 6 to 7%. However, in 2020, the organization's revenues declined to 37 billion, which was a 4.4% reduction. On average, the company's growth rate for the last 5 years was about 3.8%. And then what I did is I included all this information in the financial model, and then I gave you all some preliminary analysis of the popular line items for the income statement, the balance sheet, and popular ratios. I gave you some thoughts and ideas and some analysis in relations to the ratio or the line item as it pertains to Nike. The next thing that I did for the balance sheet is, again, I went ahead and compiled Nike's 10Ks for the last 5 years, summarized that information, and fit it into the financial model that I created. And from this information, again, I broke out each line item individually, and then for the balance sheet, I also compared it as compared to total sales or total assets, just depending on the line item. And an example of this would be for Nike, for their cash. They ended 2016 at $3.1 billion in the bank. In the next 4 years, the organization's cash position would grow to $8.3 billion, or 22% of sales. In 2016, their cash as compared to sales was 9%. This tells me that the organization is really hoarding a lot of cash, and that might not be the highest and best use. Do they really need $8 billion in cash in order to sustain operations, or could they be using that money, whether it be to kick more money out in dividends, reinvest in the organization for expansion, a lot of other things they could be doing instead of hoarding $8 billion in cash. The next thing that I did was I calculated ratios. What have we got? About 15, 20 different ratios right here. I calculated popular ratios from the various categories: liquidity, assets, profitability, and debt for the last 5 years. And then in my financial report, what I did is I included the calculations for each one of the ratios. For example, current ratio from 2016 to 2020. So I included that into the financial report. And then I also showed you how I came about the calculation, which was current assets divided by current liabilities. and then I gave you the ratio. And then what I did is I give you a preliminary analysis of the popular ratios. I didn't go and analyze every single of the ratios, every single one of the ratios. It would have been too long of a financial report, but I did give you some thoughts and ideas and some insights from my personal opinions into the various ratios as to what they meant for the organization. For example, in this right here, this is, even though the labels are a little messed up, the information is still correct. 17 in 2016. All right, so for this example right here, Nike had their current ratio of 2.8 in 2016. An acceptable current ratio for most organizations is going to be 1.0. So just out the gate, Nike is just way out of line with their current ratio. They have too much current ratio. They have too much cash. They have too much inventory. It's disproportionate. Their current assets of 15 billion as compared to current liabilities of 5 billion. They can be they need to manage their current assets better, whether it be to reduce their cash position. A lot of other ways they can do that. They need to do a better job. They do in 2017, they do a little bit worse, but they start improving it for 2018, 2019. But again, 2020, their cash positions is too high. It's driving up their current assets, which is resulting in a 2.48 current ratio. So their current ratio is way too high as compared to other competitors in the industry. A lot of things they can do to mitigate that, but that tells us that management is not doing a good job managing their current assets. All right, so hopefully this information was helpful, and it gives you some insights as to how I constructed my financial report. Again, please remember, this Excel file is not included in the report, but I did take excerpts out of it and put it in the report. If you would like to pick up that financial report, all you have to do is zip over to my website, which is qualitybusinessplan.com/Nike Financial Report. And just scroll down and pick up the report. It's in a PDF. You'll be able to download it, and hopefully it'll give you some insights as to how Nike is performing based on a financial analysis. If you liked the video, hopefully you did, please give me a thumbs up on YouTube. And if you want to go ahead and purchase the financial report, just zip over to my website. And finally, have a fantastic day. Thank you.